Pope Francis spent the night at a hospital in Rome. The 86-year-old pontiff was admitted after complaining he was having trouble breathing. CBS News foreign correspondent Chris Livesay is outside the hospital.
He was rushed to the hospital, prompting prayer and sympathy from around the world.
The Pope is ill now, so say an extra prayer for him.
Just yesterday in St. Peter's Square, at his general audience, the pontiff appeared in good health. Until it was over, climbing aboard the Pope-mobile, wincing in pain. It's become a common sight. Ever since he tore a knee ligament last year, the pontiff is often confined to a wheelchair. When he does walk, he suffers a bad limp, forcing him to cancel both Vatican celebrations and overseas trips. Here at the Gemelli Hospital in Rome, the faithful keep vigil, much as they did in 2021, when he was hospitalized for 10 days for surprise colon surgery. It was diverticulitis, a painful condition that Pope Francis revealed in January has returned. All of it generating persistent rumors that Francis, like his predecessor Benedict, might resign. Now 10 years into his papacy, CBS Vatican consultant Father Anthony Figueiredo recently told us.
How much more time does Francis have to carry out the rest of his agenda?
He has certainly made it clear, unless he's impeded from being a pope, maybe through some mind difficulties, through some illness of the mind, he will continue to be that pope.
Earlier this year, he became the first pontiff in modern history to preside over the funeral of his predecessor. Francis championed that pontiff's brave decision to retire when Benedict was 85. Francis is 86.
Now remember, Pope Francis is already missing part of a lung due to an infection as a very young man. This coming Sunday is Palm Sunday, marking the beginning of Holy Week, which runs through Easter. It's the busiest week of the year for the Catholic Church, and now we don't know if Pope Francis will celebrate it from St. Peter's Square or from right here in his hospital room. Vlad and Marie?
So, Chris, what do we know about the Pope's schedule and how that might be impacted?
Well, so through Saturday, all of his audiences, all of his meetings have been canceled. As for Holy Week, which starts on Palm Sunday and runs through the following weekend of Easter, that's anybody's guess. Our Vatican consultant thinks that the chances are very, very low that he's going to be able to participate at all. And then beyond that, the Pope has a number of international trips planned. He's supposed to go to Hungary at the end of April. Later on in the year, he's supposed to go to Lisbon for World Youth Day, then on to Marseille in France, even to Mongolia. But those are big, long trips, and we'll have to wait and see.
You know, Chris, I think I remember sort of a little while back, Pope Francis talking about the possibility of scaling back on his busy schedule. I don't think he did that at all. You know, here we have another health concern. Could this conversation be revisited, that maybe he needs to take it easy?
Well, first of all, the Pope does what the Pope does. You know, he kind of goes to the beat of his own drummer. He went to Iraq in the midst of the COVID pandemic into a war zone where, the chance of violence was extremely high, not to mention the chance of contracting a dangerous disease. People are indeed talking about the possibility of Pope Francis retiring, which is pretty remarkable when you consider that the precedent just wasn't there until his predecessor, Pope Benedict, resigned 10 years ago. Before then, this was considered to be a position that you held for life. Pope Francis championed that position of Pope Benedict. He thought it was very brave. However, he's been asked about this a number of times as to whether or not he will resign. He's laughed it off sometimes. Other times he said, no, I won't. Other times he said, if I'm incapacitated, if I'm put in a position where I simply can't perform my duties, then yes. But more recently, he quipped, he was referring to the fact that he's hobbling along these days in a wheelchair or walking with a cane because of hip pain and because of knee pain. And he said, in order to be Pope, you don't need your legs, you just need your brains.
All right, Chris, thank you so much.